The coronavirus outbreak has been declared a pandemic.
Panic buying has set in.
36,591 people in the UK have died.
The virus could have a big impact not just on the Chinese economy, but the worldwide.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced.
It is the year 2020, 2 months into the global pandemic, and I have learned what it takes to survive in this apocalyptic wasteland. I'm not proud of the man I've become. I'm not even sure if I am still a man. What I do know is that a lesser man would have crumbled under the pressure. But my exceptional mental fortitude has served me well in this isolation and loneliness. I know that...
What's that, Ted? You're right. This looks like a good spot to set up camp. Hey everyone, it's been a while, but I've finally got back out and I'm going to have a camp out for the night. I want to build a shelter this time. I haven't brought the tent with me. I've just bought a sleeping bag and a sleeping mat. But I want to try and build a shelter up against a tree like this, maybe. One that's got kind of a Y shape in it, so I can put a beam down and then build against that, but we'll see. Cold steel knife, a great knife, really good saw. Tactical spork! It's a great little multi-tool as well. And the air rifle, if I do see anything. Squirrels, rabbits, pheasants, pigeon even. And of course, most importantly, my emergency hairbrush. There's so much dead wood around here to use for a shelter. It's pretty ideal. Well, I've deviated a little bit from my original design. See how it looks when I get some moss and leaves up against it. I think I've made it a bit too narrow. I think I need to lower some of these branches really, so that when I put the leaves and things on, they're not just going to all come tumbling off. Just found a saw on the floor here. It's all rusty, it's not really much good, but if I was out here and I didn't have any equipment with me, then I guess that would have come in handy. I've got plenty of dead wood around to gather up. So originally I was just going to have a bit of wood coming from in there, but really that notch in the tree is a bit too high up, but it's the best one I could find to put a support beam in. I was just going to have that one beam coming down to the ground and then one side completely covered. But because that's a bit high up, I changed the plan halfway through. I put a bit of wood across there that I've propped up, and now I'm putting more bits against that. I might be better off going back to my original plan really. Quite a few bits of wood that will twist around and kind of latch on to each other. I've had this saw for quite 5, 6, 7 years and used it quite a lot, but it still just glides through wood. To be fair, I haven't used it so much over the last 2 or 3 years, but for the first few years I had it, I used it quite a bit. But man, makes the work easy. I also bought with me this smaller saw that's part of this Anglo Arms kind of multi-tool. It's got a regular knife on there and then a little saw blade, which I sometimes find easier for thinner bits of wood. A bigger saw can be a bit too clumsy with it, whereas this small one doesn't do the job as quickly, but it's still quite good for the size of it. Especially if you haven't got a pack with you and you only want to take something small, if you're just going on a hike but you still want to be a bit prepared for anything that might happen, just want to have a little saw with you. I do really love this multi-tool, really solid feeling as well. Just get a closer look at it. Not sure what the exact name of it is other than it's Anglo Arms. About a few years now. Nice little tool. I do like that these trousers have buttons on the pockets, so I don't have to worry about any tools, my phone or whatever, keys even falling out my pockets there. Right, because I learnt this years ago. I did an outdoor survival course for a weekend. God, it must have been in 2011, I think. And that's where I learnt how to do this. But I've pretty much gone quite a bit off the plan. A bit. It's not too bad actually, but I've deviated a bit too. Problem with me, I get carried away with it. I'm like, oh, I'll build a bit more on here, a bit more on here, and I'm probably just completely overdoing it now. And you know, sometimes it's best to keep it simple, but we'll see how it turns out. I've got a new tripod finally. Before I had this little tripod. It wasn't really tall enough, but I found that bigger tripods were too big for what I need out here. But my dad got me one for Christmas. I'll just show you, and it's perfect really, because it can get really tall. I mean, it can get to like 5 foot high, 5.5 feet high, but it also slides down really tiny. And partly it's because the legs are so thin, but I don't need anything too hardcore for what I'm doing, so having it be a bit thinner and weaker but able to get small and tall like that is perfect for me. See, that's how small it folds up to. But I didn't even have it fully extended actually when I showed it to you. It'll extend a bit more at the top here as well, so it probably does get almost 6 feet tall from this tiny little thing. Another good thing about this saw is that if I put it down after I finish using it, which I have a tendency to do, it's easy to see on the ground because of the orange. Now I want to build up around the base here to stop any wind getting through while I'm sleeping. And I want to cover it with moss really, but the moss here, there's a lot of moss around, but it's very thin, so it's hard to really get enough to build it up around there. So I might have to just make do putting some thick layers of wood around the base instead. I also wanted to cut down some bracken to put over it as well, to give it a bit of a layer of camouflage and a bit more maybe protection from the rain, but there's just not enough growing at the minute. It's too early. If it was another month or two, this would be full of bracken and thick with it, but at the minute there's not enough, so it's not really worth me cutting down what little bits there are here, because it wouldn't even cover a quarter of the shelter. So that idea's out. Might have to cut some thin branches from the trees instead that have got leaves on. It's coming along. Still need to build up around the bottom there to stop a draft getting in. That's getting there. I think I've made it way too big, to be honest, and made a lot of work for myself. There's the entrance there. So you can see there's a lot of gaps there still. Right, now I've just come across this tree here, and I'm thinking now I would have been far better off if I had used this to build a shelter. I could have put some poles down along there each side, and then just had the entrance at the front there for me to slide into to go to sleep, and it would have been a lot easier. A lot smaller, so easier to insulate. But now I'm so committed to the other one. I put so much effort into building up the other one. I don't really want to start again here. I wish I'd seen this one earlier. So I've really made a job for myself by overbuilding the shelter that I'm planning to use tonight. I mean, I only need it for one night. I'm not going to move in out here. But, oh well. Shelters over there. Yeah, I really am kind of committed now. I've put so much effort into this one, I'm just going to stick with it, I think. I mean, the weather's not going to be too bad tonight anyway, I'm pretty sure, so hopefully with that, and with my sleeping bag and the sleeping mat as well, I'm going to put in the bottom there, actually, I think I'll be alright. Any little bits of wood that are breaking off the parts I'm using for the shelter, I can save for firewood if I decide to have one later. I'm now going to try and insulate the bottom with as many leaves as possible as I can shove in there. But while I was doing that, I found this flint, which would be handy if I needed a blade, if I didn't have a knife with me and the saw. Though I did find an actual saw on the ground anyway I could use, but this could be used for kind of finer things. It's got a bit of a blade on it, it's quite a sharp edge on there already without me having to try and form it into more of a blade shape. Oh, a nice big bit of flint there, huge bit. Alright, I'm now going to make myself some nettle tea, so to do that I want to get leaves from close to the top really, because they're going to be the freshest, have the most nutrients in. I'm going to really jam pack them in to the kettle there, right to the top, because once they get boiling they kind of go down into nothing like most vegetables. Once you start to cook them, you know, they shrink down, so really jam pack the kettle full of nettle leaves there. I think that'll be enough there, quite a few in there. Right, I've got my kettle full of nettles, but I'm going to put some water in here first to rinse them out, because there's quite a bit of grit and dust and things on there and a few bugs, so I can really swill that around to try and clean those off a bit. As much as possible, pour that water out. Now refill it to boil. God, it's really green, look at that. Interesting to see what it tastes like. I've never actually tried this before. A few bits of grit in there, but it's not too bad. Well, I hope everyone's been keeping well, staying safe. Crazy couple of months. Geez, who would have thought it would get this bad in the UK? I mean, we've got the second highest death rate in the world now. But I think the problem is, as well as Joe Bloggs in the street not believing it could get that bad over here, I think that's the politicians had the same attitude. I think that's why it's got so bad in America and England, because even the politicians had the attitude that, oh, it couldn't possibly get that bad over here, even though we were seeing it in China and Italy. I think there was just a disbelief among the leaders and the, you know, just people in the street. But this goes to show it can and will get as bad here. I think it's been a bit of a wake-up call. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more and more people now getting into prepping, just like after 9/11 and just like after the near financial crash in sort of 2008, 2009. I think it's been a real stark reminder to people that shit can happen. You know, it can happen here. But the whole thing's made, I think the UK has looked rather foolish in all this. We haven't come out of this looking good. Our leaders were so slow to act. And I mean, the second highest death rate in the world, behind America, and America's, you know, what, 10 times, 50 times bigger than the UK. So for us to only be second to them, that's bad. But as well as poor planning from the government and their inaction at the beginning with the whole, you know, well, we just leave it to herd immunity, which is basically akin to doing nothing. I think that just the way everyone's so packed in the UK now, you know, it's nigh on impossible to keep any kind of social distancing once everyone's out and about. At the minute, you can go shopping and keep a distance because, you know, quite a lot of people are staying at home and that, but once everything opens up again and everyone's out again, you can't go to a supermarket or a shopping mall or anywhere in a city, in a built-up area, and keep a decent distance from people. There's just too many, all packed in together. Such a tiny little island, it's just so packed in. All these new housing estates, just all the houses built on top of each other. You know, it's not people's fault if they can't keep a distance from each other. But that's what I'm glad I'm out in a rural area. It's a beautiful day now. It was a bit overcast earlier, but really lovely now. A little bit of a chill in the wind, but you know, not too bad. Been a long time since I've done this. It's about a year and a half, I think, since I've been out. So it is nice getting out again, actually, because it's really lovely. At the minute, spring has sprung. But yeah, I wouldn't get too comfortable at the minute. Now they're easing lockdown, which, I mean, they instigated it too late, and I think they're lifting it too early. You know, it's still only just getting better, but I guess that, you know, they've got to think of the economy as well and trying to stabilise that a little bit before the second wave hits, which it will. Once everyone's out and about interacting again, you know, the second wave will hit and it will get bad again. And I think in these situations in the past, like the Spanish flu, the second wave tends to be the worst, especially since the second wave will probably hit coming into autumn and winter, the flu months anyway. So once things calm down a bit in a few weeks or a month, that'd probably be a good time to start getting things in order for the next wave, you know, once there aren't so many people panic buying and there aren't so many shortages of things. And don't go out and panic buy yourself, but just gradually build up some supplies of, you know, food, toilet rolls, PPE, cleaning products, stuff like that. I'm lucky that I'm a bit of a clean freak anyway, so I always keep alcohol gel. I always keep a couple of months supply of that anyway in the house. I've got quite a few bottles of it stored and scattered about the place. I keep one next to my bed even, one next on my computer desk, so I can just clean my hands if I feel like it then. Keep one in the car for when I'm out shopping, keep one in my bicycle kit for when I'm out camping. So I didn't have to worry about panic buying, clearing the shelves of that, because I already had decent stock, luckily. Same with like the Dettol wipes and that, they're pretty good for that sort of thing. It's alright actually. There's a very slight taste to it. I don't know what I'd compare it to. There isn't, considering how green that was, and there was a lot of the leaves I put in there, there isn't all that much taste to it. So if anyone's a bit put off at the idea of nettle tea, thinking it's a bit gross, honestly, you can barely taste anything. But what you can taste is quite nice. It's like a very mild green tea, like a very weak green tea, I guess, is how I'd describe it. But apparently it's incredibly good for you. There's a lot of nutrition in nettle. It's one of the most nutritious plants on the planet, some people say. But it's very overlooked, isn't it? But once you boil it up, or even just hold it over a flame, that neutralises the stingers. And the thing is, once you've made tea with it, you can get the nettles out of the kettle and eat them as well. So you've got a bit of a food source as well as a drink, and you know, apparently it's very nutritious. And I'm tempted to start having a little nettle patch in the garden actually, so I can do this at home without having to venture out too far. It really isn't too bad at all. So I wouldn't say it's a great taste. It's not something you're going to be like, yeah, but it's pleasant enough. I haven't camped in this spot before, but it's a really lovely area. And it doesn't take me 5 minutes to leave my house and get in the middle of the forestry like this. I don't even have to use any main roads. If I go, there's a dirt track I can go down through a farm, through the sort of tracks around the back there, come out and maybe be on a main road for about 30 seconds and then down another track and I'm down here. And like I say, it's only, what, 2 miles maybe from my house. So, yeah. I really do appreciate it, actually. It's lovely. Because in the past there were times where I would get frustrated with living in a rural area at times where, you know, it's kind of an hour's trek to get anywhere, to get to the nearest decent city. But actually I quite like the road trips now. I've learned to appreciate them. It's nice, you can just get a coffee, get a true crime podcast on, and I enjoy the, you know, the journey. It makes it more of a day out. Just, you know, even if I'm just going sort of shopping around the city for a couple of hours. I'm glad I can get away from it all. I wouldn't want to live in a busy built up area at the best of times, let alone in a situation like this. But thanks for hanging in there with me, subscribers. I have felt bad for not making videos, but I just been so busy with things, just this and that, and God, last year went quick. I'm not too happy with my shelter. I should have stuck to the plan, because I know how to make a decent one, but I just got carried away with it. And a part of it's impatience as well. But the problem now is it's too late for me to start another one. It's going to be dark in an hour, maybe. So there's no way I'd get another one finished in time, so I've kind of got to stick with the one I've made. But I mean, I think it'll be alright for tonight. The thing is, I am only planning on staying in it for one night anyway. And I think it will shelter me enough for tonight. But any more than that, I wouldn't want to stay in it. So that's definitely something I need to brush up on, because it's been a long time. It's been years since I've built a shelter like that, so I'm really out of practice with it. Bad. But it just goes to show you've got to keep practicing with these things, you know. Like in my last video, I know it's only a minor thing, but forgetting to stock up on the lettuce seeds, I was kind of really smacking myself for that. Because if, I mean, I know it's only lettuce, so I had loads of other seeds for other things to grow, but still, you know, you've got to keep on top of these things. But my supplies have held me in pretty good stead, really, over the last couple of months. Like I say, I didn't really have to go out and panic buy anything. I was pretty sorted. So, and I'm not saying that to show off, I'm just saying like how important it is to prep. And you know, don't have to go too over the top with it. I don't consider myself, you know, like a doomsday prepper, like you know, portrayed on television. I think just having you know, a full stock of things in your kitchen and that is enough. It's weird how many people don't now. How many people live these minimalistic lives, which in some ways you think, well, it's kind of nice that people are less materialistic now. But I think a home doesn't have much character when they go around people's homes and all they seem to have is a screen and a chair, really. It's just a bit bland. I think, well, like, where's your personality? Your home, you'd think, would reflect your personality, because that's your little kingdom. That's where, you know, you're most comfortable and it's all your possessions in there. I mean, I'm probably a bit of a hoarder. My home's probably a bit too cluttered with things. But, yeah, part of that is my prepper mentality of not wanting to throw anything away and just stocking up on things, thinking they'll be useful at some point. But that's how people used to live, you know, a couple of generations ago, like my grandparents and their parents. They would always have a kitchen full of food and a shed full of just wood and nails and tools and things. And yeah, I wonder if we'll see more and more people trying to get back to that kind of lifestyle now that there's been this stark reminder that disasters can happen, even in our nice cushy society in England and America.
Do I want to eat that? I'll have maybe one leaf off of it, I think, and try.
Yeah. Not bad, just tastes like your average green, really. You know, green leafy food, not all that much taste to it. Yeah, it was right, really. A few little bits on there. Yeah. Like a very mild cabbagey kind of taste, maybe. So, yeah. Not what I'd say bad taste at all. Right, and now my plan is to build a kind of heat reflector going across between those two trees there outside my shelter, so I can have my fire there and hopefully it'll deflect a lot of the heat into the shelter. There we go. It actually didn't take long. That saw whizzed through those bits of wood, all bits of dead wood I found, and I didn't even have to put any stakes in the ground to hold it up. Those trees are kind of perfectly situated outside the entrance there to hold it up. So if I have my stove or a little fire, I'm not going to have a massive fire, so I don't need a deflector bigger than that, but hopefully that will help create a bit more warmth in here. Still need to build up a bit more insulation around the back with leaf debris. It's a long process because it's hard to really get that much leaf debris in my hands at once, so it takes a long time building that up around the outside. Right, it's quite late now. I've got the fire going. Lovely and warm still though, even though it's pushing 12 o'clock now. It's not cold at all. I don't know if part of that's obviously because of the fire. Dying down a bit there. Here we go. But yeah, it's nice. I don't know if the deflector's actually making a difference. There's kind of conflicting evidence on whether they really work or not. But if nothing else, it gives me a bit of cover for the fire to make that less visible to anyone who might be going past. But yeah, it's a nice night. Quite tired now. So building the shelter really exhausted me. It took a lot of work. Cutting the wood, hauling it back and forth, trying to gather enough leaves to build up the outside, which I still haven't done. I've put a layer enough that when I'm laying down that's going to shelter me. The bottom, you know, half a foot maybe or a foot have got leaves to insulate, but then above that there's still some gaps. But it's just quite difficult getting enough leaves in one go to fill it up, and then it just got dark and there was some other stuff I wanted to film as well. But I think I'm going to be alright for tonight. Luckily it's not a bad night, though part of me wants it to be a bit windier and to rain a little bit just to kind of test the shelter and see how effective it actually would be. But maybe another time I'll come out here when the weather's not forecast to be so good. Give you the view from my shelter opening there. The fire's dying down now, so I'm going to go to bed. I'll see you in the morning. Morning now, and it wasn't a bad night's sleep really. It was actually quite warm, but I think that might be more to do with the weather being mild than the shelter itself. I definitely want to probably completely redesign it when I come back here. I wouldn't mind setting up a permanent kind of bushcraft camp here. I'm now going to try and build a little kind of desktop bench that I can sit on or work on. Because that's something that's reasonably quick to do. I haven't got time to completely demolish that and rebuild it, so I'll do that next time I come out here. But yeah, this is a nice spot to have a little kind of bushcraft camp for myself. Another problem with the shelter though is the bugs. It wasn't too bad last night. I mean, a little bit of a raised bed would help, so I haven't got creepy crawlies on the ground, but out here in a few weeks time, once it gets a bit warmer, it's going to be just swarming with mosquitoes. So, and I don't really want to have a fire going all night for the smoke to try and keep them away, which is only semi-effective really anyway. So we'll see about that, but I might have to bring some netting at least along, if not the tent, to be able to bear sleeping out here for the night with all the mosquitoes having their way with me. Right, and now for some early morning exercises. Now these are all exercises that you can do at home even if you've got no equipment whatsoever. So first, some press-ups. Now, I'm sure you all know how to do press-ups, so I'm not going to go on too much about this. Just regular up and down. Do that 10 times maybe for your first go, and then you can build up over the weeks to doing 20 at a time, 30, 40, 50 I'm up to at the minute at a go. But the thing is, even before your muscles get that much bigger, once your body gets used to being active, within a week or two you're going to find the exercises a lot easier already. Now, I can do some variations on press-ups now. First up is having a wider stance with your arms like this. And instead of just going up and down, we're going to go to the side and down, to the other side and down. And do this 10 times each side. So I'm losing track of how many I'm doing there, but you get the idea with that. And like I say, you can build up 15, 20 as the time goes by. And now for another variation on press-ups is to have your hands closer together. So your hands are in kind of a triangle shape or a diamond shape in front of you. And you go down like that. So this is working different parts of your pectorals. Also gives your arms a bit of a workout as well. And that's pretty much all I've been doing for my chest for a good couple of months now. And I'm actually maintaining quite a good chest. And I always struggle with my chest, even with all the gym equipment, using the benches and that. So that I can sustain it just doing variations on press-ups at home. It just goes to show that they actually work quite well. Right, now we're going to do some squats, and these are good for just getting your lungs going, you know, keeping your lungs strong, burning off a few calories and that. So you got your regular squats where you just down and up, down and up, down and up. But one thing I like to do is, if you've got a weight at home, it doesn't have to be proper weights, it can just be, I don't know, a 2 or 3 litre carton of milk filled with water or something that you're not using anymore. Some tins, whatever, you know, something with a bit of weight in the front. I'll just use a water bottle to demonstrate, and hold that like that. As you go down, lift that up in front of you, and then lower it as you come up, like that. And I find that that's quite a good bit of cardio, really, as well as squats, so it gives your shoulders a bit of an exercise. And another thing you can do is have your legs quite close together and squat down, come up, then widen your legs, go down, legs back together, go down, legs apart, go down, back together, go down, apart, go down, and do that 10 times, building up to 20 times, however many you can handle. And once again, gets your blood flowing, gets your heart and lungs strengthening up a bit, gives your legs some good exercise. It's just a simple variation on it, really. So yeah, just some simple exercises. It's not meant to be anything too hardcore, you know, you're not going to end up looking like Arnie or whatever. It's a bit of a dated reference, isn't it? Like Jason Momoa doing that. But it's just, you know, something to keep you generally fit and active that you can do at home during lockdown, or you can do when you're camping out in the woods and you haven't got any equipment with you. I need to get out doing this more now, especially with the lockdown anyway. I've got plenty of free time to do this. I haven't come into contact with anyone since being out here, not even on the way here. So there's no fear of that. I haven't seen any animals whatsoever though, not even any birds, let alone rabbits or, you know, even squirrels. I'd have thought I'd seen squirrels, but no, nothing. So in this area at least there'd be nothing to hunt that I've seen at all. Even at night I didn't really hear anything scurrying around, just bugs. So I hope everyone's been well during the lockdown and enjoying themselves. I know a lot of people on social media are going out of my mind in lockdown, oh, I'm so bored. Which, you know, I guess everyone's different, but I don't know, I can easily enjoy myself at home because it's my home. It's got all my stuff in that I can enjoy, and, you know, especially with the internet, you've got access to like every TV show and movie and piece of music ever made, and games and stuff on there, and you can communicate with anyone all over the world on it. I don't know how people sort of get that crazy bored within like the first 2 weeks of it. But I mean, I'm the sort of person who can easily become a recluse though anyway, if left to my own devices. Not that I don't enjoy going out and seeing people, but when I do isolate myself, I kind of slip more and more into it, and I just end up really enjoying being in my own little world. I remember, God, it was like 2011, I think. I barely left the property for about a year. I mean, I did now and then just to do certain things, but in general, I really isolated myself that year because I just kind of felt like it at the time. I was at a point in my life where I didn't really know what to do with myself. I'd left college, and me and my girlfriend had split up, and my dog had died, and just I was just kind of having a bit of an existential crisis, I guess. And I was, you know, I was young at the time, so you don't really, you sort of mixed up about what you want to do in the world and what you want to do with your life, and should I have a career and this, that, and the other. But yeah, I kind of enjoy having little periods like that. I don't think it'd necessarily be healthy for me to live like that forever. Though saying that, I do spend about 90% of my time on my own at the best of times anyway. But yeah, just for a short period, even if this goes on for a year, I can enjoy myself just becoming a hermit.
I've gathered up some good pieces of wood. They seem pretty strong still. It's all dead wood that's fallen. I haven't cut any off living trees. I don't really want to do that. There's plenty of dead wood around here. It's just finding some that hasn't started to rot yet. But all these bits seem pretty solid. I was saying earlier about how there haven't been any mosquitoes about, but all of a sudden, because I mentioned them, they're everywhere now. Yesterday and last night weren't any at all. I don't know why all of a sudden today they've come out, but they're all over me, and I can already feel, even through my clothes, like I'm completely covered other than my face and head. You know, I can feel quite a few bites on my arms and my legs through these, you know, they're quite thick trousers I've got on, but they're getting me through them. Bastards. This is my masterpiece. It's actually quite comfy to sit on. There's kind of a perfect groove there for my butt. So it'll do for now. Surprising how hard it is to find a really straight bit of wood in this forestry. Those are the straightest bits I could find. But like I say, it actually kind of works because that little lower bit in the middle there that sags down a bit actually is really comfortable to sit on. It kind of perfectly forms around my buttocks, so it worked out for the best. Really simple construction. I've basically just put 3 logs together there, then put 3 pegs around it to hold it into place, and then put wood across to one the other side, which is once again 3 logs piled up, 3 pegs just to hold it all together there. So nothing too fancy.
but does the job. Before I go, I'll just show you the mask and that I brought with me. This is actually part of my EDC now. I'll probably do a video going into a bit more depth about that in future, but it's basically a GVS ellipse mask. It's P3 rating, so as high as you can get. Really seals around your face nicely, that rubber. It's really comfortable, easy to breathe in. Doesn't look too over the top if you're worried about looking a bit too much like a terrorist or something with a full-on respirator. This, I think, is more socially acceptable without looking too over the top, but at the same time gives you more protection than just having a bit of cloth over your face, or a disposable mask even. And then the goggles here, they're just sort of regular ski goggles. You get them cheap enough off of eBay. But this is actually a really good little mask. The filters are changeable. Those there, you know, they come out, and you just unclip it there to replace those when you need to. Well, that's about it from me. I better get going before I collapse of blood loss from all the mosquito bites. Thanks for watching. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and hopefully this has passed a bit of time for you in lockdown, brought a bit of levity to the situation, you know, have a bit of fun with it. But yeah, it's been really nice coming out here, so I definitely want to come back and try and build up a bit of a kind of camp for myself here. Well, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully.